Hello, Professor Yako here with Who's That Pokemon? Anyways, we're exploring Johto today.
Continuing Team Animeishness' journey through each of the regions to decide our top 10 Pokemon, we're coming in with number 10 of Johto with Totodile. This adorable tap-dancing water Pokemon embodies a lot of things I like. It's always seemed to me to be the most theatric out of any of Ash's Pokemon, and its moveset is pretty awesome. It's a all-around reliable Pokemon, and it's blue. And when I was little, I liked the color blue.
Coming in at number 9 is... guys, I can't talk about Pichu with Pikachu right behind me. There. Pichu's a personal favorite of mine because of a fun little story I began and an adventure that started with my first Pokemon game and my Pichu Regulus, who was the king of everything.
Number 8 is Sudowoodo. A very clever replacement for having to have the ability cut. I found the Sudowoodo dancing every time you sprayed it with the water bottle absolutely adorable, and you poke it and it does the swoosh 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 noise. Something about this Pokemon's endearing to me. Its dream in life is to be a tree.
Which, he's shooting for as tall as he can get here. He's just shooting for the top.
This little Pokemon, I always imagine it dancing. I know he doesn't, but that little swoosh swoosh in the game just always had me, and it made me very endeared to Sudowoodo.
That and having it follow you around is like the cutest thing ever. Holy crap. It just like waddles behind you, and it looks like it's doing the swoosh swoosh dance as it waddles.
So number 8 was Sudowoodo.
Number 7 is...
Umbreon.
What's your favorite thing about Umbreon?
Well, the fact that it's the darkest evolution.
Well, it is the dark type evolution, yeah.
You know what? Shut up.
Umbreon's design is always something that I found really cool. I mean, if you're talking about Pokemon that would definitely be in the cool clique, or maybe it's in its own standoffish clique.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's by itself. You can't.
It's the goth kid I always wanted to be.
It's the goth kid I was. Coming in at number 6 is Ampharos. The one reason I like Ampharos a lot is because when you get Mareep, you're just like, okay, it's just a giant sheep. And then it's like it loses all of its fluff and just becomes awesome.
Number 5 is Houndoom.
Our introduction to Dark-type Pokemon.
Johto was the introduction to this type, and a lot of the Pokemon introduced are really memorable and are standoffish. They stand out for the type.
They're standoffish. They're like, no.
Well, yeah, they are that too. I don't feel like Houndoom are exactly the most sociable, probably because their name is Doom.
I love the evolved form. It kind of looks like all this boning, and I love all the boning that's on the outside. It just looks so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just the whole way they designed that Pokemon is just awesome.
This is also the closest we've gotten to a Cerberus Pokemon, which I'm still waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Number 4 is Noctowl. It's a Pokemon I've never actually had before, so tell me why you guys love it.
Well, it really does look exactly like the animal it's portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just... that Pokemon is like another one of those you just throw out there and people are just like, oh, it's an owl.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just completely kicks your ass.
What I always liked about Noctowl is, even to this day, out of all the bird Pokemon, I feel like Noctowl still holds its own as being unique, getting a lot of psychic moves, and being able to use Hypnosis as a bird Pokemon was kind of fun. You get it fairly early on the game and only at night, because that was the first generation that introduced a night and day cycle.
I only wish that one thing is that it had, like, I don't know.
A Mega Evolution?
Yes!
Psychic Flying, Nintendo. Make it happen. Number 3 is Quilava! Okay, I love all the starters from this generation, but I think without a doubt Cyndaquil is my favorite. And my favorite form is the little in between. It's like a corgi on fire.
It is like a corgi on fire. It's adorable.
It is adorable.
Everything about Quilava made it the first Pokemon to where I was actually imagining it moving on my Game Boy Color. It used Flame Wheel, and I imagined it curling into a ball, or Ember, I imagined it flaring up before it extrudes its fire. And it just made it a very unique Pokemon for me, if only being the first one to truly inspire my imagination.
I just thought it was neat because it's like a little fiery pincushion.
All the starters in this region are extremely memorable to me because this is whenever, as a kid, I started seeing Pokemon everywhere. And I think that this was one of my favorites. I think that this is definitely one of the games that I look forward to the most, having gone back to play, because I didn't have the systems as a kid because of these evolutions. And Cyndaquil is one that I worked to make sure I got it. Well, I mean, I picked that one, so hard work.
Coming in at number 2 is Sneasel.
This adorable, quirky, dark type obviously brought in attitude when it was designed. Its tiny little red truff sticking up above the snow is a fun little quirk to imagine.
I just love his, like, when you first see it, it's just...
Sup, bro? Come at me.
And then his other little picture that is common looks like, you go squish now! Like he's gonna squish a little bug. This is another Pokemon that I put on the very first team that I ever had playing one of the Pokemon games, and it became really endearing to me because of that.
Number 1 in our Johto region is the special attack monster Espeon.
This one went on to my top 10 whenever we first began our long struggle of narrowing down to what would be the Animeishness top 10. Because once again, with this region being the one that I was first really exposed to in my youth, Espeon was the most beautiful creature I'd ever laid eyes on. I always wanted to be an Espeon. Not just own one, but be one.
It was a pretty beautiful evolution, I will say that much.
Its awesome moveset, coupled with the exposure of it being Umbreon's opposite and bringing in yet another psychic type, which was completely unchecked at the time, just made this Pokemon very unique and very interesting. And out of the evolutions, I'd still say Espeon is one of the more unique designs.
Agreed. Another thing that I think makes that particular Pokemon great, coupled with Umbreon, who was earlier on in our list, is that together they make an amazing team.
Yes.
They really do.
Pokemon Coliseum, which is back there, I'm sure you can spy it, brought us the first time that we were allowed to double battle with Umbreon and Espeon at the start of a game. And that just made me fall in love with the two of them as a duo and made me realize that despite the fact their color schemes were different, everything about them seemed very unique from each other. They worked together as a team, Umbreon being your defense and Espeon going in for the kill.
It's like they made those two and they're like, this is like your brother and sister Pokemon. There you go.
So that is why Espeon is number 1 in our Johto region. See us next time when we go over to Hoenn and explore their Pokemon. Till then, we're Team Animeishness. I'm Aeris-Blue.
I'm Yakamasu Gimi Maslu.
Yako.
And I'm Div.
And we'll see you in the next video. Later!
You bowled over 2 Pikachu!